Hello. This is your boy, Brandon Correa, aka Master of None, aka EF Hutton of Entertainment. And we are back with another TV show review, episode review. And this will be for Obi Wan episode 2 and 3. Usually I do the episode reviews separately, but I've been a little bit behind with my videos. So I'm just going to combine episode 2 and 3. I'm going to briefly go over 2, and since 3 is the most recent, I'll go more over 3. So let's get right into it. So episode 2 was good. I still like episode 1. I think more. I think I liked episode 1 more than 2. Episode 1 just setting the scene and the tone with where Obi-Wan, Ewan McGregor's Obi-Wan, where he was in his life. I think the episode did a really good job of painting that and really getting us into that point of where he is at his life. Episode 2, we basically see Obi-Wan rescue Leia, and a lot of the episode basically takes place of just basically them bonding and learning, her questioning if he's a Jedi, and that's basically the majority of the episode, and them trying to him trying to save her from where she gets captured and bring her back home. And during this episode, we see cameos from Kumail Nanjiani. He was pretending to be a Jedi, basically had this scam going on. Everybody got to make their money out here, right? So he had this scam going on to actually, he really was helping families, but it was just, he was making a buck off of it at the same time, right? So there was that nice little tidbits, hitting that nice cameo. And then near the end of the episode is where it's probably the better part of the episode, where the rest of the Inquisitors kind of join in with I think it's the third sister, with who Moses Ingram is playing. I can't remember which sister she's playing, but when it kind of gets near that part where there's like the shootout on the rooftop, that's where it picks up a little bit. And in this part, we see Obi-Wan, because Leia's kind of running away. We see Leia running away. She slips and falls off a building. She's like holding onto like a wire line, and she falls. And you see Obi-Wan trying to coach her to don't let go, because he's really resistant to want to use the Force, and he's obviously trying to hide that side of himself, obviously, from everyone. But I also think he's just trying to suppress it, because he just doesn't really want to remember that part of his life. He is traumatized from Order 66 and him creating Darth Vader. So in this episode, because she ends up falling, he has to, this is the only way for him to save her. He ends up using the Force to kind of catch her before she hits the ground. She obviously sees that and believes he's the Jedi, so obviously they become closer. There's some nice moments in the episode also when they're kind of going away from the Inquisitors. There's a moment where Obi-Wan kind of stops and looks at Leia, and he's like, you kind of remind me of a friend of mine, and obviously talking about Padme. And it was just a nice little moment, just showing that from the beginning episode where she didn't really trust him, which obviously she doesn't know him at all, so why would she? But just going through the episode and it showing how she came around to just start trusting him. And I want to know, obviously, if the writers, and I'm sure they had this in mind, but it's just awesome to see their relationship kind of form, because in A New Hope, obviously the original Star Wars movie, the original message, you see Leia be like, "Please, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're our only hope. Your only hope." There's no explanation on how she would know Obi-Wan or why that would be her number one option to go to in a time of trouble. But again, this series and this episode specifically really paints the reason as to why, when she's older and we see Leia in A New Hope, why she would go to Obi-Wan Kenobi to come save her, because clearly he's done it already in the past, right? So that was a nice little tidbit and a nice little tie-in to the actual canon, the original Star Wars movie. So I appreciated that about this episode. And obviously, going further past that, the other interesting tidbits that happened in this episode was obviously the third sister stabbing Grand Inquisitor in the stomach. I wonder what they're gonna do with that, if he's dead, if he just took a flesh wound and they're gonna heal him up, because obviously Fennec Shan in Boba Fett got murked in her guts, and they just healed up metal, you know what I mean? Put some metal up in her guts and they were good, right? So are they going to do the same thing? Because clearly, like, he is alive, unless it's somehow like the same being in a different Grand Inquisitor. But technically, Rebels is after this in the timeline, and the Grand Inquisitor is in Rebels, Star Wars Rebels. So, you know what I mean? Like, I'm interested to see how they're going to explain that, what they're going to do with that side of the story. And yeah, and then I think the last big thing that happened in episode 2 was the reveal of Darth Vader. Obviously, we know that Darth Vader's Anakin Skywalker, but Ewan McGregor, Obi-Wan, didn't know that Darth Vader was Anakin Skywalker. And I don't know why I never even really took it in that he might not have never known that. So again, Ewan McGregor, top-notch acting, especially in that moment. Seeing his face when he heard the news that Anakin's alive, and that Anakin is Vader. My God, acting clinic in that, you know what I mean? It's like that news actually hit him right in the gut, honestly. Acting clinic by Ewan McGregor at the end there. And that moment for me, honestly, really made the episode. So the episode was good. I'm obviously interested to see where it's going to continue to go and how it's going to end. We obviously know how it's going to end deep, you know what I mean, when A New Hope comes around, but I'm obviously interested to see how this limited series of Obi-Wan ends and what the overall narrative and purpose of the show is going to be as for us, the audience, what we're going to take from it. So that is it for my episode 2 review. Really good episode. All right, let's hop right into episode 3. So episode 3, we start off with Obi-Wan and Leia obviously leaving the planet from where they encountered the Grand Inquisitor and the third sister. I hope it's the third sister. And they're on the transport ship, and they land on this planet, and they leave the ship, and they obviously go off into the wilderness to try and get to that meeting point that Kumail Nanjiani's character in episode 2 told them about. And they get to the point, there's no one there, so obviously Obi-Wan, just really skeptical about humanity. He automatically assumes that he's lying, and he's like, you know, we're gonna have to figure something else out. They end up seeing like some kind of transport, like just like a minor worker, just in like a random vehicle just driving by. Leia runs out and stops him, just asks if they could get a ride. They make up a story about how their father and daughter, they're farmers from a different planet and they're just visiting. And the guy was like, yeah, sure, like I'll take you to the spaceport. So they hop on, and this first half of the episode is a little, to me, it's okay. It's a little slow, and I don't know. I could have just used more with the second half, and we'll get into the second half. But they get onto this transport. They're driving to the spaceport. They obviously get to like a stop where there's like stormtroopers. Stormtroopers get on. There's this scene where the stormtroopers are in a way questioning them, because that's their job, and they're questioning them where they're from. What are you guys doing here? Blah blah blah. And there's a point where Obi-Wan slips up and calls Luma, which is like Leia's made-up name in this situation, calls Luma by her real name, Leia. And one of the stormtroopers is like, Leia, I thought her name was Luma. And then he plays it off really well, and he's like, oh, like, it's been a rough time. Like, she looks so much like her mother. I certain times I slip up and I call her Leia. Which is obviously he's lying to her, but he's also in a way telling the truth, because he probably, in the context of the show, sees Leia and then pictures Padme, his friend that he was friends with for years. So he wasn't lying when he was talking to her, and the stormtroopers believe it. They get to their stop and they leave. And then there's another nice moment where you see Leia be like, you knew my real mother, didn't you? She goes and throws the question about, are you my real father? He's like, no, I'm not. And she basically just exposes this feeling that she had about how he was lying to her, and that this was the lie, that Obi-Wan knew her real mother, Padme, the entire time, and knows her father. You know what I mean? So there's like that nice little moment. And then, so they continue on the transport after they drop off the stormtroopers, and they get to this blockade. It's like a security check, basically. Laser gate up, and they can't go past unless they let the laser gate down. The man Freck, the transport driver, Snake, what a snake, yo, tricking mans. Yeah, I got you. Comes off the truck and he's like, yeah, they're strangers. You might want to check them out, yo. What a snake. So the stormtroopers come up to Obi-Wan and Leia and give them the whole police procedure. Get out the car. Where are you from? Questioning, all this nonsense. And as that's happening, we see the probe that the Inquisitor sent out approached Obi-Wan to obviously scan his face, see if it was him. He ended up looking up and he shot the probe, but there was obviously enough of his image captured that it sent it off back to the headquarters, revealed his location. There's a nice little fight scene that happens. He, with a blaster, which is, and it just shows how far Obi-Wan has kind of come, in a sense, from where he was. Because remember, blasters, so uncivilized. And like, now he's using blasters, but it's obviously more to like kind of hide himself. And yeah, he's just probably really trying to push himself away from the Jedi roots. So deals with that whole situation. They end up getting pulled up on by like bear stormtroopers, and they get rescued by like one of the individuals that Kumail Nanjiani set them up with. So she ends up saving them. They go to this town and they get in like this little bunker hideout place. And from the probe part in the episode, this is where the episode really kind of turns up and where I was kind of on the edge of my seat the majority of the time, because this is where obviously his image got sent back. So because like they're on high alert, they're organizing battalions to pull up on this planet. There's multiple Inquisitors, and we finally see the reveal of Vader. Bum, bum, bum. The Don Dada pull up on the planet in the black robes. The black outfit, black cape. And just walking like a bad man. And you just see in the episode as they're about to leave in this underground tunnel, like something just hits Obi-Wan. And we obviously see later that the reason why it just hit him was because Vader was there and it just sucked the air out of him, really. Like, the Force just hit him. He got hit in the stomach with a Force punch. And so he's kind of delayed. He's just watching Vader, and Vader's just approaching, and he's just hurting, killing civilians to obviously kind of draw him out. Going back to that, Jedis have an itch. They can't help it. And they end up, Leia and I think her name was Tala, my girl from Game of Thrones, Elia Sands. And you see them escape in the underground tunnel, and Obi-Wan kind of remains behind a little bit. And I guess you see Obi-Wan goes out like a different direction. He's kind of like keeping an eye on him, I guess. And Vader looks over to the area where he's at, and then he disappears. And then this is where it kind of cuts over to where like Obi-Wan's kind of running in like a rock field, not a rock field, but just like a area where there's just mounds and mounds of just high piles of rocks. And this is where you see the first confrontation after all these years of Obi-Wan and Darth Vader, Anakin Skywalker. It looks great because it's really dark because of the gravel piles. You can't really see anything. So when they light up their lightsabers, it really illuminates their face. So it looked awesome. And yeah, you just see that Obi-Wan's a little rough with the sword, with the lightsaber skills. And because, obviously he was a really good lightsaber wielder. So to see him a little rough, Vader hit him with the years haven't been kind to you. And it, you could see it with him fighting. Hasn't probably clicked that lightsaber button in a minute. And yeah, there's just the battle, the confrontation. And then there's a point where Vader captures him in like a force hold, and he's about to like drag him all the way through this fire. And he kind of turns, he like force pushes it out. And clearly he's trying to like prolong this and torture him a bit. And then the Talia character ends up saving him, and she ends up shooting like a machine, creates another firewall for him to kind of get away and escape. And you see the big robot that was helping them out earlier pick him up and kind of rescue him. And then it cuts away to Leia moving getting to the pilot that was supposed to help them escape. And you see the third sister there waiting for her, and she ends up chasing her, and that's how the episode ends. So this episode, again, like, I really enjoyed the second half, and it's not just because of the Vader and the lightsaber stuff. It was more just the tenseness and the on the edge of my seat-ness, and I know that's not a word, but just how it had me on the edge of my seat the entire second half. I love that feeling when I'm watching these type of things. Like that, I love that. I absolutely love that. So the first half was it was okay, but it was a little slow. When it got to that second half, it turned up. So I think, the episode was still good, but I still think episode 1 might be my favorite, just on how they kind of brought us back into that universe. I think they did it I think Deborah Chow did such a good job bringing us back into the universe and in that particular time in the universe when Obi-Wan's active. So yeah, I don't know. I don't really have much to say about episode 3 other than obviously the acting. All parties involved are great, especially Ewan McGregor. knocking out of the park every time. I like where the story is progressing. I like that we didn't have to wait till like episode 6 to like get this first confrontation, and I feel like this won't be the first confrontation that Vader and Obi Wan will have. Like maybe they'll have like another one in episode 5 or 6, and then obviously they'll have the final one in A New Hope when Obi Wan like perishes. But yeah, a good episode, especially good second half of the episode. I really enjoyed, and I'm looking forward to more episodes of Obi-Wan. Looking forward to episode 4 when I'm dropping this. It's coming out soon. Like I said, I'm behind a little bit, so my episode 4 review should be coming out fairly soon after this. So that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoy this Obi-Wan episode 2 and episode 3 review. If you like this video, hit the thumbs up. If you think you would like content like this, hit the subscribe button. Content coming in a plenty, and I'm hoping to grow this community and to continue to provide content like this for you guys because I love doing it. So that's it for this video. Appreciate you watching.